In his own country, he's a cricketing legend. Throughout the cricketing world, he's one of the great all-rounders. And internationally, he has the appeal of a film star. He's Imran Khan. But to me, he's the bloke who was actually captaining the Pakistani side that cost us our chances of winning the World Cup in 1992. Imran, couldn't you have chucked that game?
Well, if Martin Crowe was building a cancer hospital, maybe I would have. The point is that, apart from what it meant to the country, I mean, once we got back, the joy we saw on people's faces, the common people, and 120 million people. New Zealand's only got 3 million. So, the pleasure it gave to so many people, that was one aspect. And the other, of course, was our hospital, which we've been trying to build. And we needed that win, the World Cup, to really be able to be in a position to raise money for the hospital, which we did.
What did the win mean to a country like Pakistan that is absolutely crazy about cricket?
I can't even begin to explain to you what it was like. In fact, I had some idea when we lost the previous World Cup in '87, when quite in the similar position as New Zealand, we were cruising through, and right at the end, just like New Zealand, I mean, we were the first team into the semi-finals. We dropped our last match against the West Indies, but it didn't matter. And then we lost the semi-final to a team which was, compared to us, player by player, not equal to us. And what I saw of our people, it reminded me of Eden Park '92, what the New Zealand crowd went through. I mean, the dejection in Lahore and amongst the crowd was too much. But then I never expected the joy to be so great too, because, the whole country celebrated. We were treated like kings for days.
But Imran, over here, it just about ruined our cricket. Look at the recent results. If you were to rebuild New Zealand cricket, how would you go about it? What would you do?
For a start, New Zealand has been very unlucky to miss Martin Crowe because, what I saw of him in the World Cup was such a good captain, and he maximized the resources at hand. He led from the front. I mean, you couldn't ask more from a captain. And it's a pity in a way that he is no longer playing, because the batting just looks fragile. It needs a world-class batsman, and maybe the batting will revolve very, very well around it. The other problem, of course, is the wickets they played Pakistan. I mean, the wickets have been, the last wicket. The first wicket, I hear, was a seaming track. But the last wicket at Wellington, what little I saw of the test, it suited Pakistani type of cricket much more than New Zealand. I mean, the Pakistani bowlers could bowl New Zealand out, but there's no way the New Zealand bowlers were going to have any impact on the Pakistani batsmen. So I would think that if, plus of course, they've come across a very inspired Wasim Akram, because after the players' revolt, he's obviously trying to prove a point, of course, at the cost of New Zealand.
What was behind that players' revolt?
Well, I'm not sure, really. I mean, the players' demand was that they didn't want Wasim as captain, which was very sad, because some of the players have only been playing for a year and a half. And there's Wasim, who's given at least 8-9 years of top service. He's a world-class cricketer. He's won us so many matches, including he was the man of the match in the World Cup final. And so I couldn't comprehend it, because whenever I played, Wasim was one of the most likeable characters in the team.
Those sort of things happen a lot in Pakistan cricket. We find it hard to understand. Is that just part of the structure?
It is part of the structure, because, you see, there is no first-class cricket of any quality. As a result, we've had 3 revolts, and I participated in 2 of them. The reason is that the players think, the only cricketers that are known to the country are the Test cricketers. The first-class cricketers no one has even heard of. And the quality of first-class cricket is extremely poor. So once someone becomes known in Pakistan as a Test cricketer, he thinks he's indispensable, because people don't know any other cricketers, and they also know that the standard is very poor. If they they feel that if they revolt, there is no second string to take their place. And indeed, when we played for Kerry Packer, 5 of the players playing for Kerry Packer, the team collapsed. I mean, our teams got destroyed, whereas Australia could still field a second team after the top 15 players had gone and still beat India, full Indian team. That sort of thing could not happen in Pakistan because we do not have a second string, which is only because Australia has a very good first-class cricket structure.
So what is the setup that you have?
Well, we have a strange system where sponsors, I mean, we went wrong. When we try to get the sponsorship, instead of letting the sponsors back regional teams, like it happens everywhere in the world, our sponsors fielded their own teams.
So you play for a bank or something like
so
that?
So either you play for a bank or one of the organizations. I mean, there's no way they should field their own teams. So what that means is they don't have their own grounds. They have to hire a ground to play a match. And so few grounds have so many matches that all the wickets are ruined. So the players don't know how to play on bouncy or seaming wickets because they only play on these underprepared wickets because there are so many matches on these grounds. And the second thing is there's no selection criterion. I mean, how does a player join a bank? So that leads to corruption, nepotism. So, I've been trying to fight against the system for 12 years and have given up because there's such a strong vested interest who doesn't want this to change.
You see, I also find it amazing that the politicians interfere. The president, for example, is also the patron of the cricket. And that's just part and parcel of it, is it?
Well, no, it's also because the system hasn't evolved. I mean, this was an old system where the president, I don't know, for some reason appointed the president of the cricket board. But, I mean, as cricket has changed in our country, as it has spread everywhere, the system has not evolved. It's still an old, out-fashioned system. I mean, it's a multi-million-dollar business now. But we have the people running the system, the president and the secretary, are honorary. So that means, they're not even hands-on. And therefore, I mean, the Pakistan cricket is in a mess.
But you've had some marvellous players. Let's talk about some of the batsmen in particular. Majid Khan, related to you, Zahir Abbas, and of course the guy who you played a lot with, Javed Miandad. They're different styles.
You see, there's enormous talent in Pakistan, and that's what, is so surprising, that there is no system and you produce outstanding players. A player will go to England and within 1 or 2 seasons will make his mark, and that's how Majid made his mark. Asif Iqbal, Zahir Abbas, Javed Miandad, they all sort of went to England. They were sort of, just ordinary cricketers. And the moment they got proper first-class cricket, I mean, they became great players. So, I mean, for example, I mean, there are more cricket grounds in New Zealand than Pakistan. We've got 120 million people. There are more squash courts in Oxford University than the whole of Pakistan. And we have the number 1 and 2 best squash players. So, I mean, there is talent, but there is no system there.
Talent, it's dripping with it at the moment in fast bowlers. Let's talk about Akram and Yunus and compare them with the really talented fast bowlers that you came up against with the West Indies. How would you compare them with, say, Marshall, Croft, Garner?
Croft, Garner, they were different bowlers, I mean, Marshall was an all-time great because of the variety, his intelligence, his adaptability to all conditions. Marshall and Lilly were very adaptable bowlers. I mean, they could bowl on different conditions. They had very good minds. They had big hearts. They would keep going. Wasim and Waqar, at the moment, it's too early to say if they will stand up in their class. Wasim certainly is now emerging into their class because he's been playing and performing over a period of time. He's got over 200 wickets now already, and he's got a lot, and he's got a lot of cricket left in him. Waqar has only been playing for 3 years. How long he goes, can he persist with this very strenuous bowling action? I mean, he's quicker than Wasim. Consistently, he's probably the quickest bowler in the world. Yet he's got a round arm, slightly round arm action. And how long will he keep going with this? I mean, he's not a bowler. If he slows down, he's not going to be effective. He has to be bowling quick to be effective, air speed to be effective. Whereas Wasim can even cut down his pace and, he has this incredible wrist action, a bit like Richard Hadley. So, I mean, Waqar, we will know, you have to sort of perform at that top bracket for 5-6 years to make a mark. I mean, Colin Croft, for instance, he came for about 3-4 years and then disappeared. And there've been Sylvester Clarke, who was so lethal for about 4-5 years, But over a period of time, like Dennis Lilly or Marshall or Hadley, I mean, you have to perform over a period of time to sort of be compared to them.
I've got the height to be a fast bowler, you know, and yet I don't know anything about what we read so much about. I think you better give me a lesson on how do you go about doctoring a ball. Are you guys better at it than we are?
Well, every cricketer, I reckon, every bowler has doctored the ball, or what you say, tampering with the ball.
Why are you better at it?
What is tampering with the ball? Tampering with the ball is, you know, if you just either lift the seam, you scratch the ball, or you put, you know, Vaseline on it or anything. That's all doctoring with the ball, and it's gone on ever since cricket has been played. Now it has come into focus because there are bowlers who are bowling something which people are unfamiliar with, reverse swing. So that's why this whole issue has come up. And, you know, people do... in Pakistan, of course, the wickets are so underprepared. As I was explaining to you, few wickets have a lot of matches. I mean, ball 10 overs later is all ripped up. So we learned the reverse swing. Here, of course, I mean, people didn't understand this phenomenon, and so immediately it goes to cheating because you can't do it, it's cheating. You know, I saw Dennis Lillee reverse swing the ball in 1976 at Melbourne, where again the surface was very rough.
You see, we all think that it was either you or Safras that started reverse swing. How did it come about?
Well, I read in Truman's book, which was way before us, when he mentions that, you know, occasionally the ball swings the other way, not the orthodox way, the other way. So, I mean, this has gone on. It just depends. People didn't understand the phenomena. Right. Our conditions were such that we understood it. So suddenly, you know, because, you know, others couldn't do it, it became cheating. And, you know, no doubt that players do scratch the ball. I mean, they must do over a period of time. You know, but the point is, if you're playing on a green wicket, no matter what you do, you cannot reverse swing it. Because, you know, and if you try and scratch it, it will show. Only on rough wickets you'll reverse swing the ball. Just as lifting the seam on our wickets is a waste of time, whereas in England or in New Zealand, lifting the seam can be useful because you can cut the ball off the wicket. In Pakistan, it doesn't happen.